you're tired, then generally you have absorbed the difficulty inside you. So we will talk about how to release and all that. But the first question is, why are we even allowing to take so much of stress into our lives? What is the alternative? The external challenges will remain the same. There is no doubt about that. Okay, it could be challenges in the team, or it could be challenges with reference to whatever we are doing. Could be with family, could be at work, could be at health. They will be there up and down. But how much I'm able to be aware of what is going on and how much I'm able to respond rightly, what I call as right action, it'll free you of much of the inner turbulences, stresses, and all that stuff. So we are only responsible to be aware. The fact that I'm getting stressed, am I aware right at the beginning? Do I apply a choice? Instead of getting turbulent or worried or caught in fear, can I clear my fear? Can I clear my worry and be centered on what I want to do? You could be centered on your purpose. You could be centered on your goal. These are the small things that we need to learn. Now, like if any of you are experts in a particular subject or field, say for example robotics, say for example I saw this as hardware security. Say let's say you've all become experts in a particular field on that. You didn't become an expert on day one. You had to go through your LKG, you had to go through your schooling, then a little bit of further grooming in college. Some of the subjects were related, not related, and then a further study. Either through interest or by force. You have to dwell on something, apply it, and then you become somewhat an expert or a real expert on that. But unfortunately, we have not spent, most of us at least, have not spent the time on inner mastery. We discount it. We say if you're not well, we go to a doctor, or we go to a therapist or whatever. But very simply, as much as the outer life is important, the inner life is also important, because we all would have seen people who have retired. Okay. And now when they retire, it is only the inner life. There'll be a little bit of an outer life, but largely the inner life will stare on that face. Whatever you've built, and nothing can be changed in a day. Whatever you've built is what you're going to live with. Okay. So the inner life is as much important as the outer life. Today, we're going to, my sessions are interactive. I'm not going to give a lecture or stuff like that. I wouldn't know how to do that much, but it will be rather interactive. We take a few, we can have a lot of dialogue. You can ask me a question, or what's a challenge that you face with reference to your mental health, emotional health, peace, inner peace, and at the same time creative manifestation. You can ask me questions and we can go into that. I will also share with you some very simple practices or exercises, some things that can be done as a meditation, eyes closed, but they can also be done as dynamic practices while you're walking, while you're working. This will be the agenda till about 5:30, which is the scheduled time for the day. Yeah. Before I go forward, is there any question? Is there anything that you want out of today's session? I'll wait for how to maintain work. So there's a question from Rashmi. Okay, very good. So how do I maintain work-life balance? All right. Okay. Any other questions? I'll pick that up. Yeah. Maybe I'll address that first. Okay. It's a very personal thing. When we talk about work-life balance, it's an extraordinarily personal thing. It depends on individuals. I'll give you an example. When my sister got married, before she was married, she was a first-class accounts person, finance, ICWA, and all that stuff. And for some reason, post-marriage, she slowly settled down into a homemaker. There were 2 children, she was taking care and all that stuff. Now, at that point of time, she was not able to manage the work and the home, and thus she made that choice. But after a point of time, she felt that her creative juice was dying. And thus she went back to work, even though situations are perhaps even more difficult, work is even more. The need of not having a creative life, the aspiration of wanting a creative life, made her go back to work and take care of the family also. So the work-life balance is a very, very personal thing. There is no standard formula. Now, the larger question is that you'll have your work, you'll have your own personal needs as an individual. Like, so for example, some of the basic personal needs for any individual is an exercise every day. Okay, we'll take something very simple, an exercise every day. It may not be the need of your mind. It may not be the need of your goals. Some of us are very success oriented. It may not be the need of that. It may not even be an emotional need, but it is the need of your body. Now, some people, turn back and tell me, Arul, I really want to exercise, but my body feels lazy, tired, and all that. So my body doesn't want to exercise. It's a wrong understanding, actually. When the body basically is a matter of habit. Okay. However you have habituated, the body behaves like that. So if there is something new, the body resists. But for a vibrant body, it actually craves exercise, which is why today you find in both the younger generation, middle-aged, and sometimes even people. I know somebody who went to the gym first time at the age of 70 with very careful supervision, and he's extraordinarily happy. And he's been going for the last 2 years, mild exercises, but really is opening up the body. So it's a need of the body. So if there is a work life, there is a personal life, and the needs are some quiet time, some learning, some new learning, some exercise every day. It's a need of the body. And also you will have some family responsibilities, what you want to do and what others want to do. How do you navigate that is completely a personal choice. You need to learn many skills for that. And one of the most fundamentals is time management. Okay, how do you manage time? Right. So I'm going to give something slightly different here. There is doing something simultaneously and doing something one after the other. Okay. So when we talk about managing time, you would see, some of the homemakers, male or female, they'll be cooking something, and then suddenly somebody will come, they'll ask something, they'll give that. A child will ask a doubt, you will clear that up. Generally, we're all doing multiple things at the same time. And as far as we are flowing, there is no stress. The stress comes when we are worrying. When we are worrying or when we are overthinking, then it slows down our action and we are not able to take care of one thing, it spills over the other, etc., etc. So as far as you flow, okay, which means that I do my work as best as I can, and let us say it is 5:36 or whatever up to the time that you work, and after that you just let go and then move into the next, go take a shower, spend some time with your elderly parents, for example. You do that. Now, as you're doing that, you realize you have a 15-minute window. Let's say you're sitting with your elderly parents and you have a 15-minute window. Now, in that 15-minute window, I can kill my time by doing some random stuff, or I'm just carrying a small notebook and a pen, and I have a new program that I'm doing. So I just note down a few key points as it comes there. And then the 15-minute window is over. The parent asks something you're doing, and then you feel there's another 5-minute window. In that 5-minute window, I just come back and write 2 other things. Okay. Now, so when it really comes to work-life balance, the true question is, can you really flow? Can you do more things in less time? More things in less time comes when you're flowing rather than worrying and thinking. Now, if I didn't take that 15-minute and a 10-minute time that I had, let's say when I was taking care of somebody, next day morning is going to be a strain. So I just move things a little bit here, a little bit there. And at the same time, I take care of myself. So it's a long answer, but work-life balance is an art. It's like the art of juggling. Whatever you're doing, you do it well, and then you let it go, and then you come back. But I would say monitor for yourself Is there sufficient time for work? Is there sufficient time for personal? Is there sufficient time for family? And if you're flowing, many people lose time by overthinking and emotion. And I'll give you one or two practices for that today. Okay. Any other question before I start a practice? Okay, let's do a practice now. And so I would request. I know I know these sessions how they work right now in these Zoom or Google Meet and all that. Some of us are paying attention. Some of us would have opened other windows or would be sitting with other stuff on the side. Okay, so it's completely your choice. I'm going to share some things which are so simple, but at the same time, I can vouch and tell you back that they're life transformative. Okay, these are what we train. I run a program called Coaching with Depth right now. It's a school that I'm running along with others, where we train coaches, teachers, even parents who are guiding others formally and informally, how they can do it in a centered way, how they can do it with a depth. We do even 10 months program. For them, we give some basic practices which they're supposed to practice, practice, practice. So I'm going to give you such powerful practice, but it may appear very simple. So if you really want to taste, I would request you to sit in a way or sit in a place where you're able to invest this time for yourself if you wish. Okay. If you don't, that's also fine. I have no problem on that. And then I would also encourage you to interact with me. So it means if I give you an exercise and you find that it's coming easy or it's coming difficult, just share so that in the brief time that today we are connecting, if you wish, that would be a contribution in your life. Okay. So we do the first short exercise right now for about 4 minutes. Very simple. Uh, Close your eyes. I mean, we could do this with eyes open also, but for now we'll learn it by closing eyes. Close your eyes and place your awareness on your breath. Your breath as it moves right now. We'll call it the natural breath, which simply means that I'm not modifying the breathing. The breath is going naturally. Breath flows. Breath is not only in the nostrils. If you're very aware, like if you see small babies, the tummy will go out and tummy will collapse. It will bloat up like a balloon and go, which means air is flowing there, breath is flowing there. When we are suddenly taken by fear, you will see a constriction in your tummy. The tummy will go like this, okay, and the breath will stop. Okay, breath is one of the greatest medicines to heal the body, to clear the mind, to clear the emotions, and for that, the main method is be with your natural breath as it is. Now, a second instruction or guideline is that when you watch your breath, of course you will get distracted. Okay, your mind will go somewhere. Not to worry about it at all. Not to worry even 10, 20 times if your mind diverts, if you lose awareness or concentration. Whenever you get distracted, just come back and be with your breath. Whenever you get distracted, just come back, be with your breath. And even if 1,000 times you're distracted, no problem. You'll just be with your breath. And if possible, just unite with your breath. Unite your awareness with your breath. Just be with the breath. We'll do this for 4 minutes. If there's any doubt, put it on chat or unmute your mic and ask me. Okay, I assume things are clear. So we'll begin for 4 minutes. Just be with your breath. Do it as a research and find for yourself what happens. Last 1 minute. Continue to be with your breath. Then slowly open your eyes. And let me know what was your experience. You can unmute and share or put it on chat. What was your experience when you were with your breath? You felt relaxed. Okay, that's the first response. You felt relaxed. Okay. Others, it was a calming experience. So there was a particular state you're beginning, and when you're with the breath, all we did was you're with your breath, the quality of calmness increases inside you. Okay, one of the ways to ensure our mental health, emotional health, or even physical health is to become aware of what are the qualities that are existing in us. Fear, calm. And if fear comes, or doubt comes, or turbulence comes, clearly bringing a choice saying, hey, I don't want to get into this quicksand. Okay. And doing some kind of a very simple practice with eyes open. What I taught you right now can be done with eyes open. Doing some practice that will help you to prevent going into the older pattern and to move to something that is better. So it was calm. What else? What was your experience? Anybody had any difficulties or doubts, also ask. Yeah. So, Shaikh Abdul, random thoughts coming to mind is unfortunately a state for most of us because we have not been taught transformation in our school and college, unfortunately. Maybe here and there, if we had the good fortune of a good teacher who has worked on oneself, they teach. Otherwise, it's very, very, like I guess 1 in 1,000 may have the good fortune of that. So, the method that I've shared for you is a part one method to help you to become free of the thought grip. And the method is like this: whenever the thoughts grip you, just come back to the breath. So, which means you're not fighting the thought. You're not commenting, saying that, look how stupid I am. Once again, I have this thought. Okay, I have double PhDs, but still my thought is butchering me, troubling me. Okay, but that is the nature of one part of our mind. So what practice we have been doing is don't worry about the random thoughts, rather center yourself. You hear me very carefully. Don't bother about the random thought because you will go after the problem and thus you will get more engulfed. Instead, center. In this case, we are doing with the breath. Over a period of time, you will notice that you are able to center more. And then, if time permits, I will share another practice today that will help you to become freer of a thought randomness. Okay. Any questions on that? Feel free to ask whatever you wish. You can unmute also and speak. Absolutely no problem. How to increase the immunity power in body? Okay, interesting question. It's actually a very, very important question. Um, Maybe I'll give a few answers. Okay. First of all, um, there are two properties of the body which we don't pay attention to. One is the natural immunity process. You'll find this in children very much. If they get hurt, they cry, but the cry is more because of a sudden pain or a sudden shock. And then they brush it off, and the next moment they're jumping on each other or doing whatever. And there is a natural healing capacity in the body. Like there is a girl in my flat, and quite young, maybe third standard or something. She has the propensity of getting hurt. I've seen her getting hurt. She's been in the flat for at least about 3 years. At least about 20, 30 times I've seen her. Now, that part has to be healed. One should not get hurt that much, that I agree. But the other admirable thing I've seen in her is she'll just brush it off and she'll get healed in the next couple of days. So there is a natural immunity in the body. It is always functioning. We complicate things. Okay, we complicate by a overreaction. Fear is one of the things that depletes the immunity. Like there's a small problem. Okay, you can either heal it at the body level, or you can go for a medicinal system. I'll talk to you about that. But you make the mistake of talking to somebody and they say, "Oh my God, be careful." While that suggestion is good, if it triggers fear, your immunity is going to reduce a little. Naturally itself, it will reduce. So one of the ways to increase the immunity is through natural processes. And I'll give you a few which I have understood over the years. One, first of all, be aware of the body, which means that maybe I'll show you an exercise today. Many people are not aware of their body. Okay? What is awareness of the body means that if there is a pain, we go and put a medicine very quickly. But one of the ways the immune system will kick in, or the natural healing will kick in, is when you put your attention a little bit on the pain, not to suffer more, but to just be with it with your breath, to observe, neutral observation. It by itself will start clearing things. Because that's a property of breath. That's a property of a non-judgmental, just a simple observation. So the first thing is be within your body. Learn to be within your body. Okay, there's a lot of gold inside the body which we are not aware. Okay, so thus we keep going out. Be within the body, number one. Two, connect more to natural things like flowers, like leaves. When I say connect, I mean sensorial. Touch the flower, smell it, okay, feel it, feel the leaves. Now, what actually happens is then, like we eat food and we draw a certain nourishment inside us, nature is full of nourishments. And I'll give you a simple example. Once I'd gone up the Tiruvannamalai, not the normal route, we picked a guide and we went slightly a trekking route. And I was going with a couple of people, and it was like about a 4-hour trek up or whatever, maybe 3 hours, I don't remember. At one point, a couple of us got a little tired. The guy just plucked lemongrass, okay, and he said, smell it. The moment we smelt it, there was an extra nourishment, there was an extra energy which came from the smell of the lemongrass. Nature has a lot of very precious stuff. Unfortunately, we've all become too busy that we lose connection with nature. So connecting to nature increases the immunity. Now, there are many methods. Natural breath again increases the immunity, which is the third process. The fourth is you have to choose your medicinal system very carefully. Okay? There is no one shirt fit all for medicine, or even the same medicine will not work in the same way for many different people. It's a very personal thing. That's why you need a good doctor who understands your body and is able to suggest, okay, allopathy, okay, homeopathy, okay, Ayurveda, okay, Siddha medicine. Well, there are umpteen number, but each body responds very differently. Okay, and it's good to get a doctor who understands the immune system, because the healer of the body is the immune system, not necessarily the medicines alone. The medicines trigger something which either enhances the immune system or depletes the immune system if a wrong medicine is taken. So if you have a good doctor who also understands and honors the natural immune system and is able to offer medicines that support it, then by and large you can work on the side of the immune system. Okay, I'll take Priyadashini's question in a moment. So Rashmi, was that clear enough? Is there any doubt?
Yes, sir. Clear. Thank you very much for the great insight.
Thanks so much. So Priyadashini, how to be within the body? I've been doing research now for more than 10, 15 years. Okay. And I can tell you that not even 5 out of 100 people know how to be within the body. Most of the, I'll give you a humorous incident first. I do work with organizations also. So once I was in an organization where the vast majority of people are PhDs and stuff like that. They do very specific work. So they have PhDs, double PhDs, and then they've been working for 10, 20, 25 years like that. So there was this guy who wanted some support. So they said, why don't you talk to him? I said, sure. So I went up to this guy and, we were given a room. So he was sharing that he was having a difficulty with his boss. So we went on and on and on and on for about 20, 25 minutes. There was no gap for me to do anything. So I said, hey, hold on. Let's talk. I understand the problem, but let's talk. And he wouldn't budge. He was like, because maybe nobody gave him an opportunity and there was a lot of screaming. At the end, I said, look, can we do a short practice? Yeah, I said, he ignored it. Again, he started talking. Then I asked this question, can you tell me what you feel in your body now? Very simple question. He's having difficulty. He's actually suffering quite a bit in the relationship. So I asked him, what do you feel in the body? He ignored. The third time I said, look, stop. Pay attention to your body right now and tell me what are you feeling inside your body with reference to this problem. The guy was actually stunned. He actually looked up and down from head to toe, and then he said, Arul, I don't know what you're asking. So many people are not aware of their bodies. Actually, if he were aware, he will notice some pain in the chest or some, congestion in the head or something in the navel, because the body is always responding to your thought, to your emotion. Body is the most truthful instrument in us. Our mind can fool us, our emotions and feelings can fool us, but the body never lies. The body is always speaking the truth, and that's the whole beauty of the body. So to be within the body, there are 3 ways. I will do this as an exercise, but kindly don't expect that all the 3 layers will become aware. I've learned this over the years. Okay. There are 3 ways by which you can be aware of the body. First is the simplest, good enough. The second is a bit more advanced, and the third is even more advanced. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll take about 4 minutes, and I want you to pick any part of your body of your choice where you can place your hand on the skin. Okay. So depending on where you are sitting, if you're sitting in a private place, then it's completely up to you. You can place your hand on your tummy, you can place your hand on your knees, wherever you want. But if you're sitting in a public place, then choose a part where you can obviously place the hand without any discomfort. So why hand is just as a support. Later on, you don't need the hand. So let us say, for example, I place my hand here. The first thing is be aware of the sensations on the outer skin. Very simple. Be aware of the sensations, not from memory, but in real time. So what are sensations? There could be coolness, there could be warmth, there could be some irritation. Like if you have some pain somewhere, that part will be, paining, or there will be some prickling stuff. So first is be aware of the outer sensations. We'll do that for about 1.5 minutes. Then I'll ask you to put your awareness inside the body, which is where many people who have not done any body work will find it difficult. So if you find it difficult, no problem, but I'm just going to give the 3 methods for anybody who is naturally open to get the process. In the second method, you go inside the body and you will either So when you go inside the body, you will be using your inner senses. Like, so for example, I can see outside with my sight, but I also have an inner visual. Okay. I also have an inner feeling. Like if I'm having a tough relationship, if you're truly aware, and if you place your awareness in this chest region, parts of it may be in pain inwardly. Outwardly, it will be fine. But inwardly, there will be some pain. Or there could be some joy. So in the second process, you're going slightly within the body and you're just getting in touch with anything that's moving there, any sensations or any emotions or any feelings, etc., etc. Okay. I'll give you some simple ways to understand this. The second is a domain of the pain pleasure. Okay, so for example, you are sensorial and sexual movements, for example, will happen not only on the outer, but it will flow on the inner. Just to give you an example of what the inner is. And if there is pain, for example, some pains can be outside, but some pains can be inside, or so as a combination. So on the second, you're just going slightly inside and you're with the body. This is enough. The third, I'm also giving, and I'll only do for 30 seconds. But the second is dominated by the sensations of the body, where something is moving with pain, pleasure, etc., largely under the influence of these two things. But there is a natural vibration of the body which is free of any of these, which people generally are not aware because they have not penetrated into the depth of the body. But I'll also do that, and I'm not expecting it to come for most of the people, just as an information maybe. At the third level, we just go deeper into the body and just we wait. Then you will get in touch with a certain positive density of the body, or you will get in touch with something that is like vibrating at a micro level of the cells or substances or whatever. But that is advanced. So we just do this practice. I'll guide you. Any questions before we begin? Okay. Close your eyes. Decide on one part of the body. Place your hands. And for the next 1.5 minutes, just be with the outer sensations. Okay, now we go to the second layer. Keeping your hand there, just concentrate in a very gentle way and just go deeper into the body, into the flesh, into the blood flow, into the bone, whatever. And you will either see something, feel something like an energy or a feeling or a movement or a sensation. Just be with that. And continue to be with your breath. And then we go to the last one, which is if possible, just pay attention beneath these sensations. What exists beneath the sensations? And you just keep quiet for 30 seconds. What exists beneath these sensations? That's it. Slowly let go and come back to your normal state. Any experiences What was your experience when you were with your body? Were you able to do it? Any difficulties? What was happening? Was it that difficult? There is no sharing. Like you do meditations. Meditation on the body is also important. Here we just went from the outer to the sensations to what lies below that. That's all. Any what was your experience? What were your difficulties? Maybe can I hear from one or two people? Okay, we'll let this go. I assume it was difficult for most. That's what I'm assuming. It's a beautiful question from Upasna. That's a lovely name, Upasna. Can you correlate involuntary phenomenon like yoga, hand mudras, levitation, swaying in circles, spirals, infinity with your own spiritual experiences? How long do these last for an individual to enter into visionary experiences? So yeah, it's like it's a large question. See, what is spirituality? And if we don't go too much into the theory of it, but if we bring the practical life, you and me are doing work. You and me are living. We have a family life. What is spirituality here is when I'm working, am I also connected to one or more of the qualities of the divine? Keeping it very simple. So let's say, for example, one of the divine qualities is love. Now there is a human love, which is color, but there is a quality of love itself which is universal. So when I'm doing my work, when I'm teaching something, or I'm designing something, or maybe I'm building up some hardware, software for hardware security, or whatsoever that you all are doing, you can either be in the mind alone, or you could at that moment stay centered to silence. It means more intuitions will come. At that moment, you can connect to a universal quality of, let's say, love. Then that aspect will come in through your work. So, in a very simple way, spirituality can be taken as union between the human mind emotions with something larger, union of some work or activity that we are doing with something that is higher. There are some musicians whom you go to, and if you hear the music, they sing it very well, and you will say, great. But there are some musicians, if you hear something in their voice, something in that raga is longer lasting and it touches you very deeply. You feel that this musician is in touch with something. That is spirituality in a normal way. Okay. Much of all of these, swaying, spirals, and all that stuff, it does happen. Anybody who is moving forward, there are some expressions like these. But many get caught up in these. I want to levitate. I know a friend of mine who was practicing, he wanted to levitate. Now that is a desire. It's a vital, it's not union. It's a egoistic pursuit of a power for something that looks glamorous. Okay. So while these may occur, often these are traps. You get trapped. Okay, and then You go around in circles and somebody promises you something, and then another circle, another trap, another entanglement. But if you understand these things in a very simple way, spirituality simply is union. And you can do it by yourself, you can do it with the help of a guide or a teacher, or any which way that you are blessed with. And then it's a far more simple, it's a far more grounded practice. I hope I answered your question, Upasana. If I didn't, ask me again and I will go into it.
Sir, I have a question. How to handle conflict within the team?
Okay. Uh, it's a large question actually. See, when there is a conflict within the team, first there are three aspects here: my inner space, my outer actions, and what is happening in the other person. Most of the time, when there is a conflict in the team, it triggers something inside you, say irritation, say impatience, say fear, say like anger, any of these things. Now, what actually happens is you have one problem, which is conflict. Conflict simply means difference of opinion. Conflict simply means that somebody is committed, somebody is not committed. Somebody says they'll do something, they do it. Somebody says they do something, they don't do it. These are the realities. We are very happy human beings if we leave the problems outside and do right action. The problem that with many human beings is they take the problem inside. They go home, they think about the conflict. So it starts eating into you, it starts occupying your inner terrain. So the first guidance when there's a team conflict is keep your inner terrain pure. How? I've already shared two practices. I'll share another couple depending on the time. If you're feeling flustered, watch your natural breath. Slowly, you will feel that calmness. If you feel you're getting stressed, move your attention into your body. It'll ground you. It's really a grounding factor. So, first is clear yourself. Second is be very watchful. Like, so for example, for me, often in the past, not right now, I've worked on this for years. I used to say things, okay, which used to hurt people uh, in the garb of being very frank. I used to say stuff, and then it used to enormously hurt people, and they will be thinking about it. So even though I may solve the conflict, I would have created another problem because I would have just said something, may not be in a loud voice or whatever, but something quite strong. And conflict was a smaller problem, we get into a bigger problem. So to be very aware of what we do with our words, what we do with our actions is a second step. Okay. We're not necessarily manipulating, we're just becoming aware and be very careful. So, for example, one of the things I do right now, or I mean, right now it's different. Earlier on, I used to take a pause. I don't immediately go and say what I want to say. I'll take a pause, allow things to simmer down a little bit, and then go and express. So, you're taking responsibility for your outer actions. Many a time, people don't take responsibility for their outer actions, they just go and vomit their expressions and difficulties, so you complicate. The third is to now, if you're reasonably sorting this out, then you can observe the other person. What exactly is the conflict? Most of the time, see, the problem in today's world is most of the time people don't know to articulate. So they may have a problem, but they may be articulating something different. So even let's say they're doing some coding or some design, there's a conflict. Many people can't just go back and state that this is exactly what I'm uncomfortable with. They don't know how to say that. So they go up and down, up and down. So you have to listen very deeply. So there's a conflict, listen very deeply, observe, observe, observe. Then you will start seeing nuances. You'll start hearing stuff that they're saying but not saying. And thus, instead of just jumping on what somebody is saying or just going with the first level observation of the conflict, you will actually get the true realities of the deeper. But all the three that I've told you takes years to master. You can't just expect on day one to clear up the inner, neither the outer. You slowly work with some practices. And then you start observing, start observing. Now, with these three basic practices, your capacity to handle what is rightfully needed in the team is better. Any other questions? Uh, Maybe
Sir,
we, yeah.
what are the ingredients which have to develop in a leadership roles? Uh, Apart from the technical, interpersonal, these two things, what are the other ingredients? You can include?
Yeah. This is the word leadership today is one of the most confused and most used words. Everybody is talking about a leader with all kinds of confusions, in that sense of it. Um, uh, and sometimes I've heard some very worrisome descriptions of these also. But if we take things very simple, who is a leader? A leader is somebody who can show the light. Hey guys, we need to move in this direction. That's a leader. A leader is another person who can actually detect, okay, so guys, hold on. This seems to be the difficulty. Here again is the component of life. Many a time, people waste an enormous amount of time because of non-clarity. Organizations and institutions waste enormous amount of rupees and dollars by non-clarity. Just that clarity itself, right? The next 1 year is going to be difficult. Maybe this is what is going to be, and this is maybe what we should do. A way just careful thought and a little bit of a clear mind is one of the aspects of leadership of guiding. Okay. Second, leadership in essence has the component of power. Okay. Power is a often misunderstood word. The good people sometimes shy away from, and sometimes the little bit of a mixed people, they go after power, and they create more troubles for themselves and others. But power is an important thing. Power is simply force. Okay, you want to manifest something, you need power. Money is one form of power. Okay, courage, risk taking is another form of power. There's a problem, you get the team, say, guys, next 3 days we're going to sit on this. Now there is a certain kind of power and a force. The second aspect of leadership, the first was light. The second aspect of leadership is power. How can I generate power? That's where the term empowerment has come, which means that I equip the team with power. I equip, I equip even a peon to be able to handle a unhappy customer or an unhappy parent or an unhappy student or an unhappy team member. I'm just giving an example to whatever they are equipped with. So power is the capacity to act. Now, whether your action is right is a question of light. So a leader is someone who can give light. A leader is someone who can empower, give power. Okay, that's the second aspect. The third aspect of leadership is to manifest things, makes things move. Let's say a project has to unfold in 6 months' time. There'll be many ups and downs. Even there'll be team conflicts. But just because there is team conflict, the project cannot sleep. Okay, we'll have to move things. Okay, guys, come on, let's do it. So these two things are not clear. Let's wait upon it. This one, let's move. So moving things to bring it to a fruition or a manifestation is the other aspect of leadership. Like that, there are many. But I've given three very basic stuff. At any time, we need to guide. That's the light aspect of leadership. At any point, we need to give force. We need to give power to move things, to resolve things. The power or the force is the second aspect of leadership. The second is manifesting. Keep things moving. Let things move on. Like, if you watched water, a water that is stagnant generates a different quality. And if you start allow it to flow, it'll generate a different quality. The aspect of movement and moving things to manifestation, the third aspect of leadership. I'm giving very fundamental, no jargons. Now, if you go to the net, if you go to many of the magazines like HBR, Harvard Business Review, you'll get a lot of models of leadership. What I've given you is the basis of leadership. If you're looking for a model, one of the simplest and best I've seen is a model called situational leadership. It's a very popular one, situational leadership. It's simple and beautiful. It just says that you're leading somebody based on that person's interest, skill, and confidence. Okay. If somebody is not interested, you give them the interest. If somebody is not skilled, you give them the skill. Somebody who has interest and skill, but they're not having the confidence, you build up on that confidence. Very simple. I really like that model because it's so simple. And in teams, you'll always find these three things. Either the person is competent or skilled or not, then I have to give that. The person has it but no motivation, no interest, and I have to just touch upon that. Or has both and is not able to act out of confidence, I just touch upon that. And the situational leadership says that you take this any of these three poisons depending on the team member, not as a one size fit all. So you're always observing is one of the best models I've seen on leadership. Hope that gives you some pointers at least to do your own research and learning.
Thank you, sir. Great insight.
Any other questions before I? Okay, I'll give you another practice. The first practice I gave you, which is on natural breath, develops neutrality, develops calmness. The complementary practice I'm going to give you is connecting to vastness, which expands your being. Like when you're in fear, your being shrinks. When you're in doubt, you contract yourself. You collapse like that. And if you keep doing that for years, you may have all the talent, but you're not expansive. Okay, so one of the most simplest exercises, which I've done now for about 10, 12 years, is simply to connect to vastness in nature. Okay, vastness sensorially outside you. Right. So I don't know where you're sitting because I saw some of, at least one or two had switched on your videos. I think one or two of you are in the classroom or inside. Even then, it's fine. If you have a window that is open, if you're not in an easy, some of you are in nature, fantastic. Okay. So in this exercise is very simple. I just want you to place your awareness outside you. In the first instance, you were inside. Okay. In this, I want you to, for example, hear the sounds near and far as possible. So I saw, I think Saroja, there was a lady who put the video on. She was in nature. If you're in nature, you will hear the birds, trees, and really keep your awareness outside and vast. Okay? It'll collapse. It'll collapse when you start thinking. Your awareness has gone inside this narrow. Then keep it vast and wide, into the vastness of nature. If you're inside the room, do the same thing. If you can open a window, temporarily open a window. Same thing. First is the sounds. It's the easiest. Second is sight. Instead of narrowing your eyes, you just look at the leaves or the sky or the air. The most important part of this exercise is you have to do it sensorially, which means not just in your imagination. You have to hear the sounds near and far, or you have to see with a peripheral vision and keep your awareness out there in the vastness for about 2 or 3 minutes. If there's any doubt, ask me. After the exercise, I'll tell you the benefit it gives. You also observe. Any doubt on the exercise itself, tell me. Okay, we'll begin. Sensorially, keep your awareness vast and wide, either with the sounds or with the sight, or even with the feel, touch and feel really in the vast for 3 minutes. We'll begin. You can keep your eyes open or closed as you wish. If you're in nature, actually leave it open and really connect to the vastness. Another 1 minute, just stay in the vastness. Connect to that quality of vastness. Then slowly open your eyes. Take a time. I will answer Vivekananda's question in a moment. But before that, what was your experience? What did you observe when you do this exercise? Any difficulties, any experiences, feel free to share. Right. I'll take Vivekananda's question. You can practice this anytime you wish. You can practice as a meditation, which means right as you're getting up from your bed, you can do. When you want to go to sleep, you can do. You can practice this in the restroom, no problem. Nobody's going to object. You can practice this alongside activity, like when you're walking, you can connect to nature. You can watch your breath. You're doing your work, you feel slightly tired, you feel not clear. As you're typing, just watch your breath for a few seconds with eyes open also. Yes, somebody had asked about team conflicts. There's a conflict building up in your team, and you notice the agitation inside you. This you just have to learn a little bit. Your eyes are open, but you're with the breath. You're with your body, and immediately you will calm down. So literally, you can practice it even 100 times a day for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, so that you're maintaining a state of calmness throughout. Calmness does not mean passive. Sometimes you need to be very forceful in manifesting something, but you do it in a centered state, not in a random state. So anytime you need, you can do. So these short practices done alongside is a choice that you're making, saying, I'm taking responsibility for my inner being, and I'm learning over the years to keep it as clean and good and creative and resourceful as possible. Any questions? Any questions? I prefer to interact rather than theoretical. So whatever you wish, I can go into. Any questions? Um, yeah, so yeah, if there's no question. Um, See, basically, when we look at mental health and stress, the practices I'm giving you, we need to take care of at least three things: our mind, our emotion, and our body. I've given you methods for the body. Go inside your body, watch your natural breath. These are the basics. But the basics are the most powerful. When you do that, you start getting the next. Now, when there's agitation on the emotion, you could still do the same practice. Go into the emotion and connect to vastness. So if you're not going to collapse at your being level, you're going to be connected. We spoke about leadership as giving clear light, guidance, giving the necessary force, bringing the force from others, allowing others to blossom. Many a time in leadership, leaders don't know how to support others to blossom, allowing the other to blossom, perhaps even better than you, grow even more than you. And that's the whole beauty of teamwork. That's the whole beauty of a leader. That's the second aspect. And the third aspect is manifest things. Let work manifest. Let a project manifest. Let a new subject manifest. Let a new course manifest or whatsoever. Bringing the required movement on that. Okay. Any questions or how do you want me to do? Or there's any topic that you want me to go into, I can, based on your interest. Okay. Kalyan, what would you want me to do? There's a
Um,
question. Yeah, Kalyan? There's a
no, no,
question.
no. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a question. Yeah.
Sir, I
Uh,
have one more question. Can I answer?
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Sir, how to handle the crisis management in suppose in industry we are facing, what are the ingredients we have to build?
Sure, crisis. I'll pick that up after I take the earlier question. If someone provokes, criticizes how to control our emotions, that's a beautiful question. I suffered with this for many years, in my school, in my college, and even for about 5, 6 years post college. So the thing with me is, people talk about being an entrepreneur or something like that. I was an entrepreneur right out of college. And I was not prepared for it. There was nobody in the family who was an entrepreneur. I purely came into it because I found my life purpose. And since I found my life purpose, I wanted to jump into it in the purest way possible and make an experiment. But I was heavily teased and criticized because often people didn't understand, where I was coming from. And I have been quite naive also, so I used to bottle up quite a bit, and once or twice the bottling up became so strong that it unconsciously came out quite strong on the other once or twice because I didn't intend to, but the bottling up. So the control of your emotions is the problem here, which I want to point out. In the question, there is a problem. The intent that you have, which is control your emotions, would work for some time. Okay, say for example, it could even be a family member. They are suppressing you or pushing you, wanting you to do something that you really don't want. Many a time, even family members don't understand us pretty well. Forget about work colleagues. And at that times, if you're bottling up, it will come out. It'll either come out against them or somebody else. Maybe you take it out on your children. Somebody else may be creating a problem. You don't know how to articulate, you bottle it up. You go and take it off on your children. Poor children, they will have to eat all that. It'll become part and parcel of their mental and emotional experience, and then they grow with that. So controlling or bottling up is not the solution. Neither is lashing out. Okay. There are only two things that we can do in a very responsible way: release the tension, act act responsibly, act correctly. So when someone criticizes you, the first thing for us to look at is there a truth? Okay, now many a time I have grown because of people criticism, either in a positive way or sometimes in a very, very strong way. There has been truth. Okay, and sometimes I don't realize it immediately, but when I realize, I make the change or I make that learning. So first, before you react, see if there is some element of benefit in whatever they are saying. Okay. Like to share personally, like I had a late marriage. I got married only at 34. So there were several comments that were passed, several judgments that were passed, and it had no base. They did not understand that I was really wanting to choose my partner, and thus I was willing to wait out. But there were comments that were passed which did not have much of truth. So in such situations, I just had to learn to handle my reactions and then to articulate out in a responsible way, saying that, hey, maybe you're not understanding. This is my preference and this is my choice also. That this is how I want to lead my life, and I have the legitimate right to be able to do that because this is my aspiration. So first is I check if there's a truth, and if so, like one of the biggest development that occurred to me was long back. My colleague in training, we were working for somebody at that point of time. Working means not in an organization. We both were supporting. She gave a couple of remarks about me which were very strong in front of our teacher. And I was a bit disappointed. I said, you should have spoken to me separately, but then she made it public and she's in front of him. She made some, criticisms about how I'm not that good and how I should have developed and all that stuff. At that moment, there was a reaction. But later on, when I observed, there was truth. She was pointing out a higher level, which I did not get. And then I spent the next couple of years developing that. And I'm enormously grateful to her, even though I may not have articulated it or I haven't spent time with her after that. I'm enormously grateful because I saw the truth behind it. So if there is truth, then I make that learn. If there is no truth, then it's a question of it's not bottling up actually. It is really calming yourself and then doing what is right. Sometimes it could just be ignored. I mean, like, yeah, it's okay. They are not understood. It's okay. Sometimes it is like, you need to articulate because you're going to interact again with this person, and then it is right articulation. Then you're not controlling your emotions, but you're acting more skillfully. You're acting more wisely. You're acting more aware. Does that make sense? Do the revenge or simply smile? Okay. Yeah, let's take that question. It's a good question. Revenge. Yeah, if you feel like once in a while, it's okay. We're all human beings. Okay. But if that becomes your nature, you're gone. Like once in my life, there was a friend who did something very, very nasty. Okay, and I completely was taken aback. And and then it happened in front of my parents, and I said, look, I'm just going to go to the person's house and I'm going to say that this was not fair. Okay. And my parents said, no, why, forget it. We need to have a great heart. We need to be loving. I said, all that is fine. But right now, I'm not able to be with that. So by taking permission from my parents, I was a crazy guy. I went to his house and very assertively, I said, look, what you did is not right. And I was very strong, and very clearly said that this is unfair. And it was a semi-revenge for me. I took it and then I said, forget it. And I moved on with my life. So once in a while, it is fine. But if that becomes your nature, your purity is gone. Your goodness is gone. Just because somebody is harsh, it need not give the permission for us to be like that. If we do that, then that becomes our nature. The choice is yours. It's a free world. You can choose what you want. Yeah, thank you. Rashmi, going back to your question, you spoke about, can you just repeat your question, please, Rashmi? Ranjan? I think you spoke about how do you handle crisis in the industry or something like that, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, that's how the world is heading towards. What we saw in the last 2 years is something which was quite difficult. At the same time, many good things have opened up also at different levels. Even in health, people have understood that they can truly take care of themselves. In a more directful way. So both have occurred. But the crisis is going to be the way things are going to be, is my sense. Okay? Uh, why is a crisis coming? Because we don't have the foresight. We're not able to be intuitive. We're not able to figure out that this is how we should go in an individualistic and yet in a harmonious way. Since we're not able to do that, we run into crisis. So crisis is the world's way of saying, guys, wake up. There's this problem which you didn't anticipate. You gave one solution. Like for example, I live in Chennai. Okay, we had rainfall. There was no problem with the rainfall. It was beautiful. The problem was we are not solving the problem of infrastructure. Eternally, people are building, 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 and there is no room for water to flow. And every time it happens, we just wait for those couple of weeks and we build more. Okay. So the rainfall itself was not a problem. The crisis happens because we're not taking right action. So it is just a communication back from the universe, communication back from the industry. Crisis is going to, when change or transformation increases, crisis also increases. They're two sides of the same thing. If we are very proactive, if we are very visionary, then we will sense the importance of individual growth, collective growth, honor the balance of individual and nature, honor the balance between tradition and modernity. But since we do not have such, like in the old times, the king was always guided by a wise man or a woman. Many a time it was a wise woman. The king was guided and he or she submitted to the guidance, that kind of the importance of, so you don't necessarily need a wise human to guide you. We need to develop those capacities, in the absence of which crisis simply is feedback. And now you need to up your skills. We need to up our skills. We need to learn new technologies. We need to learn new behaviors, new skills on the inner, which is just life's way of preparing us to a new way of living. There's evolution all the time happening on the outer and inner. So crisis is a part of evolution. If you take it like that, it's interesting, even though it could be very challenging at different points of time. But there's a specific question, go ahead and ask beyond what I shared in a rather generic thing. Any other questions? Any other sharings? Yes, Kalyan.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell the participants that many of you have been you are faculty in the institutes and colleges, right? So, and if you see, once the pandemic kicked in, there were a lot of changes, both for the students and the faculty, right? There were a lot of new issues that we were facing, and there were some adjustments that we had to make. And when somebody asked about the work-life balance, that or took a toll during the pandemic, right? And not for any particular sector, but almost all the sectors. But on the academic front, we were faced to with the challenge on how to connect with the students. And it's very, very difficult, as you might have experienced yourself, to connect with the students in this virtual thing and all, right? And I'm very sure that most of you would be looking forward to interacting with the students live. right? So in this putting this point in mind, I would like to request Arul sir to give us some points as a teacher, right? As a person who is in a position who will be interacting with people, right? How do we carry ourselves, and we how can we help people to be value centered, right? Can you please share your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so this problem of the virtual interaction is a huge problem. It's not a small problem. I've actually seen two things. I'll say the positive first. I run this school called Coaching with Dev. So there is a basic program for 1.5 days and then a long program. The basic program, I swear that it will be only in person. To a point that somebody in France wanted to do it. I said, you book your tickets and come. Tell me when you're coming, I'll put the date. What arrogance. So, but when the thing happened for a few months, I was not doing and I felt bored, and I did an online session and I was stunned because their people who are coming are really interested. So I saw a greater level of interactiveness and an effectiveness. Same I've observed in an organization with whom I've been working for 6 years or 7 years. Every year we run a coaching program for the supervisors for 10 months. This time it was the best because it was completely online. There were 10 people, all of them interested. From every minute we used it well, best. But I also do a lot of programs for students, for education institutions. Many a time I'm in these sessions for 90 minutes, not even one or two individuals are participating. And by mistake, sometimes they open the mic and you clearly know what they're doing on the other side. Okay. So it's really painful. It's really difficult. Okay. And here is where I go down to this profession of teachers. There is no solution to it, because on the other, you may be doing a subject where the others are really not interested, and the online gives them a fantastic opportunity of clocking those 90 minutes and doing all kinds of stuff on the other side, and you don't want to know what they're doing on the other side. Okay, so the problem cannot be solved in that sense of it. But what I have learned out of this is there is those rare 1 or 2, 3 individuals. Like this time, I do the self-awareness course in IIT Madras. We did this online. This time, there were just about 4 or 5 guys who were interacting, but they really interacted well. Okay, so I use them as a sounding board. So whatever I had to do, I do, and they come, they interact, they over-interact. I need some kind of an interface. Thankfully, I had at least 4. So in your class, don't bother about the numbers. There is going to be a majority who is going to do something on the other side. You anyway have your exams, which also copying is like rampant, and it's even more right now, blatant, and you can't do anything. You don't want to do anything also. There will be those rare few individuals. It's almost as if you run the course for them, and the rest of it is a bonus. For this, we need to develop a great degree of patience and maturity. To be very honest, I myself gave up with another course I did with the university. I backed up and said, guys, spare me this. Then the lady called up and said, Arul, it's okay, and all that stuff. And I went and completed it as best as I can. So I think we are facing reality that many of what we are teaching is really not relevant to the students. They're just coming in there for the sake of it. But going back to the value, you need to do it pure and to the best so that your integrity is not curtailed, and you have to keep on doing the best. And maybe that one student, or maybe sometimes it's not even that, but we still have to engage. One more thing I have learned personally is there could be like even here, most of your videos are off, okay? And I've learned to sense even when the videos are off, I connect to the group. And even if 2, 3 people are there, somewhat you will get something. You will get something on the chat, or you will get something, or so stay connected with the group is a very practical thing I've understood. And for this, you have to train. Stay connected to the group even when you can't see them. You are literally doing the course for those 1 or 2 few individuals. Do it for them, and also to honor the profession of whatever you are teaching. Is the only way I have solved the problem. You will have your own ways also to solve the problem.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Arun sir. Thank you. So, any other questions for the speaker? So, feel free to speak, or if you're comfortable, you can put the question in the chat box like you were doing, please. Yeah.
Or if it's completed, that goes fine.
Okay. Okay. So, as the usual practice, I request all of you for whom it's convenient to please enable their videos. So I need to upload these as part of my paperwork post the FDP. So yeah, please enable your videos. I'll just take a screenshot or two, right? Okay, thank you very much. So, Arun sir, so what we have been doing is we are hosting the the session recordings on the FDP page, right? And I'm also going to share. I have already shared your webpage, and now I'm going to share your email ID also. The participants who like to connect, they'll shoot a mail to you.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah, and yeah, on everyone's behalf, I thank you very much. I think it would have given a totally different experience to them rather than the typical technical session. And to the participants, of course, there was no workaround because it's an online thing. But I can definitely say that when you are interacting with Arun sir in person, it's a totally different level, and I had that opportunity over the past few years, and he's very approachable. So feel free to approach him. It will be a learning experience to you. And the best part with him, like you had already experienced, is he doesn't say there's a magic wand that will solve your problem. He gives a very practical approach, right? To which will help you to put things in perspective, right? To judge the things the way they are, not cluttered with any side thoughts or anything like that. That will solve many of your day-to-day issues, frankly. Yeah. So with that, I will conclude this. Yeah, Sheikh. Yeah, we have a question, please.
How to be patient is by when you're impatient. See, again, I'm a personal believer that you need to do some inner practice. And I'm also a personal believer that you should do the practice while you are in the difficulty, not later. So when you are impatient, it simply means that you're getting excited. You know, it has to be done right now. Like otherwise, you're like, you're jumping like that. At that point, step back. So that's all. See, patient means calm. So when you're agitated, step back. That itself is a practice. I'm agitated, I'm impatient, step back. I'm agitated, watch my natural breath. I'm agitated, connect to vastness. I'm agitated, connect to the purpose. Any of these are practices. So any of the practices that you do to take you away from that state will help you.
So there's another question follow-up. Is there any shortcut?
No, sorry. Well, the same question is, like hardware security. I'm a dud on that. I don't know anything. Can I learn it in 5 minutes? Your obvious answer would be is no way. Same is true in this. See, unfortunately, we're not spending time for inner mastery, but that's what you're going to live with till you grow old. So please invest time on that, as important as your external subjects and your work. Yeah.
Okay. So any other questions for Arun sir? Okay. So in that case, we can conclude this session, sir. So if you have any closing remarks, you can share.
Thank you. I enjoyed. I can sense that some are more explored. If the last comments is, do consider your inner life as important. Your body, your mind, your emotion is enormously precious. It does not need any complicated stuff. It needs very small, tiny practices that you can do alongside. I've shared some. There are more. Take care of yourself, and yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Ashish sir, thank you. Thank you, sir. Kalyan sir, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
Bye, sir. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
By the way, we do have till 2 more, days of activities. So,
Yeah, thank you.
so yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir. On everyone's
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye. Thank you. So, with this, we conclude today's activities. Right. And we will meet tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.